Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to Weekly Oscar Talk number whatever we're at. It'll say in the title. We have a lot to talk about today. We're about 2 weeks exactly away from the Oscars, which is insane. The BAFTAs, Critics' Choice, DGA, plenty of stuff to chat about, updating our predictions based off of that stuff. And I'm joined, as always, by Anthony to do such things.
Hey everyone.
So, kicking it off, the BAFTAs occurred earlier today, 7 p.m. British time, 2 p.m. where I was. I'd say of the two awards shows we're talking about today, this one had a little more surprises. Let's kick it off with Best Film, I guess, which wasn't a surprise, Power of the Dog. Any thoughts on
Yeah,
this? I mean, it's locked up.
you think it's locked up at the Oscars for Best Picture?
Yeah, I think it's been locked up for a while, yeah.
I agree. Listen, do I think Coda has a chance? Yes. It would be insane if it won all three of its nominations, which a
It
lot
would
of
be.
people are predicting. Yeah, I don't see it necessarily happening because I think that my biggest thing is I think that the feel good movies are going to take each other out. I think they're going to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they will take votes away from each other and Power of the Dog will be able to go through. And I think what's also been helping, and we'll see if this is, an undercurrent, but I do think there seems to be a movement. We saw Jane Campion's just savage takedown of
I
Sam
loved
Elliott
it.
on the red carpet.
BITCH.
Yeah. I wonder if that's affecting people. And I think maybe people seeing this as a kind of justice for Brokeback. I wonder if that's something simmering in the background where
Maybe.
we're not going to let the controversy and the gay cowboyness stop it this time. And
Mhm.
I definitely think if that will be maybe how this is remembered maybe years later, in retrospect, is like, oh, this shows you how the Academy has come, how far it's come. So I think the narrative is strong for the creatives. I think there's a cultural narrative that may be simmering that maybe people aren't even recognizing with this whole Sam Elliott controversy. And I think Jane Campion and the cast have just handled themselves
Really
brilliantly,
well. Yeah.
including Netflix's Twitter
He's just a man.
profile. Yeah, so I agree with you. I think this is done. Some people beg to differ, but I no director nomination. Sure, it's happened. I think twice now with Green Book and Driving Miss Daisy and Argo. Three times.
Argo, I believe three, yeah.
Not having an editing nomination, again, not a death nail. Not having director or editing, I feel like that is nearly an impossible. And for Coda to try and pull that off when its number one competitor is a movie that not only has those nominations but has quadruple the amount of nominations, I just don't see it happening. And I think it is Power of the Dog.
Definitely. I agree. I mean, I would honestly say my number two is still King Richard, just because I don't think that movie was ever going to get in for director, kind of like Green Book. And it did get into editing. So I would have that as my number two. But I think, like you said, Coda, Belfast, King Richard, they're all going to have similar people voting for them.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I think the more international group of people, which we have seen, it's expanded towards, would lean much more towards Power of the Dog. So
yeah, I think honestly, like we're going to look at the current Academy in a like BGB and AGB, before Green Book and after Green Book. And I think that is, when you look at the type of films that have been winning in these past couple of years, Parasite, Nomadland, Power of the Dog fits into that category. And granted, if you put up, let's say, Spotlight, Moonlight, Shape of Water, Green Book, Parasite, and Nomadland, you're like, well, maybe we're due for one of these type of feel-good movies that isn't necessarily worried about the craft. But I don't think that's the case where we're going to ebb and flow like this is the U.S. presidency.
I think that was an oddity, I think, with Green Book. I don't think that was like there's a pattern there.
Yeah, I don't think this is something that ebbs and flows, and sometimes we get a feel good, sometimes we get a craft. I think the more international viewers, and I also just think probably more people saw The Power of the Dog too, which I think helps. I do think Netflix is a higher profile campaigner and also a more watched streamer than Apple TV Plus. Though congrats to Apple TV Plus for keeping this movie in the conversation since
Yeah,
Sundance. And really,
they're
I
coming
mean,
out
I don't
strong.
think anybody bet. I didn't think anybody would bet that it would be The Bridesmaid for Best Picture. So that's
No,
pretty impressive of a feat.
it is. Yeah, and I do think I have seen a lot of ads for Coda in this past week, so I do think they're pushing hard for it. But I just don't think it's going to pay off. But I think they'll win at least. They'll definitely win one category, maybe two, which we'll get to.
One is done.
Yeah,
The other one, that's going to be a really interesting conversation when we get to it.
Yeah. Leading actress. I don't know if you remember this last week, but I did say Joanna Scanlon could very likely win here, and she did win. So I'm a little happy about that. I'm happy for her too, because I think I said this last week, when they don't have like anyone who's nominated for the Oscar, I feel like they're less likely to vote for like who may win the Oscar or to like support who could win the Oscar. I feel like they're most likely to go with like their personal favorite or like the most like under recognized person, and she's also like more of the hometown person there in a underseen movie. So I do think it's a very nice win for her, and I'm happy for her. And yeah, what do you think of this?
Yeah, I was definitely like, I thought it, I same logic, but I went more Renata because I thought they were not going to give it to a Hollywood actress, and I felt that the Worst Person in the World had broader appeal and like just had like a
It does.
more well-known movie. So, but I completely, it didn't. It was surprising. It wasn't shocking.
Yeah, agreed. Honestly, I think anyone there could have won, and I wouldn't have been super shocked. Yeah,
I wonder if Lady Gaga does get nominated at the Oscars, if that would have affected her. Like, I feel like maybe if she was,
they did like House of Gucci.
Yeah, if she was still in the conversation, maybe she could have done it. But I feel like maybe the BAFTA was just like, they thought it was over, like there was no point, and maybe it was like a frivolous win that they instead decided to go with Joanna Scanlon.
Yeah, probably. I do think if Lady Gaga was nominated, who knows, she still could have been number two, but I do think it may have been more competitive.
Release the tallies.
Release them. I would very much appreciate it. Now, leading actor. This is another category where it's locked up now. Will Smith has won. It's completely locked up. I mean, that was one of the most surprising things here for me. There's one other that surprised me more, but I mean, I thought it was possible, so it wasn't hugely surprising. But Benedict just seemed like the much more likely choice from the BAFTAs. But I mean, they almost always line up, at least the past few years, with who wins here, who would win at the Oscars. So, I mean, looks very good for Will.
Listen, for anybody else who is predicting a Glenn Close situation, Olivia Colman won the BAFTA and the Golden Globe.
Mm-hmm.
Will Smith won both now, and Benedict Cumberbatch has not won anything except critics groups. So I just listen. Would I love to see Power of the Dog take an acting win? Yes. Do I think it's going to happen now? No, I don't. I think it'll follow a Parasite, a Shape of Water.
Not even with those. I think it may only win like 2 or 3.
No, but I'm just saying in terms of a Best Picture winner without acting.
Without acting, yeah.
I think that a Spotlight. You know what? That's just what it's going to be.
Green Book.
Well, Green Book won. Green Book
won.
Yeah,
it did. I'm completely forgot about that.
No worries.
That slipped the mind.
But I just think that's what's going to happen here. And I mean, that's fine. I think Benedict Cumberbatch will be back, so it's no worries. I think all 3 of these actors nominated, 4, Jesse Plemons included, I think they'll all be back. Mm-hmm. And I think they'll have probably strong chances to win again. I just, maybe the overabundance of craft wins that are going Power of the Dog's way maybe want to separate it. But I also think, listen, Will Smith's a movie star, not just in the States. He's a movie star everywhere. And as I've been saying the past couple episodes, King Richard was engineered to get him this Oscar. It was a movie that was designed to show who he is as an actor. And you don't walk away from that movie thinking about anything at the top of your mind besides Will Smith. So it's not surprising that the movie is working well. I think the other 6 nominations it has at the Oscars besides Will Smith are only there because Will Smith is so good. If Will Smith doesn't give a good performance, that movie isn't getting a Best Picture nomination. So I'm not surprised. I think that where Power of the Dog is more of an ensemble piece, I think Will Smith is definitely the vehicle for King Richard, and I think like Joker, it will be the win for the movie. I think they see that as the win. for the movie because he is the movie. As much as
He
Ingenue
is.
Ellis and everybody else is wonderful,
It's
I
nice
do
to
think that
see.
in the end it's Will Smith is King Richard. That is the
Mhm.
movie.
Yeah, it is. I do have a question though. I saw some statistic. I forget how many years it's been, but almost always when someone wins for Best Actor, that movie wins at least one other thing. I I'm not sure if that will happen with this. I
The
can't
Father
think.
did. I'm going backwards.
Joaquin did.
Joker
Bohemian
did.
Rhapsody did. Darkest
Bohemian
Hour got
Rhapsody.
makeup.
Yeah, interesting. But like that Best Actor already broke a record this year
It
when,
did.
so I think it's going to break another one because I don't see King Richard winning to anything else. I mean,
No.
maybe editing, maybe we'll talk about that. But
Maybe.
I
I'd
don't know.
honestly say maybe screenplay more so than editing.
What's is it adapted or original?
It's original.
That'd be completely out of nowhere. But again, maybe.
Yeah.
I never say never with the Academy. They sometimes
Yeah.
go crazy.
You never know. Maybe I don't know. Song is a little weird. I think that's probably locked up.
Yes, I agree.
Speaking yeah, speaking of locked up, director went to Jane Campion, Power of the Dog. She is
As
sweeping
it did at the
everywhere.
DGA.
As it did at the DGA. Yep. She is just no one's stopping her. She's
Did
very
you see
much the
the
Chloe Zhao of this year.
Did you see the comment she made when she got the DGA award?
I don't think so.
She
What was
she
it?
said, I want to pull it up because I don't want to butcher it. It was very funny, and I think that's what's helping her is that I think that she's really, her camp. We don't see it as much because she's not like. I feel to the masses, she's not as well known a director. I feel like
No.
she gets so much respect in the community and in the industry.
She's also like had a little bit of a break too, I think, in terms of making
Yeah,
movies.
I think, yeah, definitely. Because in many ways, she walked so Bigelow could run. I don't think
Yeah.
Bigelow wins. She opened the door for people like Catherine Bigelow to walk through. And I think there is now they're able to honor her achievement. She
Mhm.
probably is the most, celebrated female director. I'm trying to think, is there
One
like,
of.
besides, Bigelow and I guess
I would say
Zhao now,
Gerwig is very celebrated too, but she's early on in her career.
don't worry, we're coming. She's coming for
Yeah,
that one. Like I will
yes.
bet anybody that within the next 10 years, Greta Gerwig has an Oscar,
Yeah,
um,
I would agree.
screenplay or director. But I think she'll get her day. But that's what I'm saying. I think Jane Campion is one of the still
She's more of
working
a veteran. Yeah,
directors. Yeah.
yeah.
Let me look up this tweet while you talk about. I mean,
Next
it's
up,
over, right?
I
This
mean,
is it. This is
this
the
is
most
this is
locked
like
category.
probably one of, if not the most locked categories. Like this, Dune and visual effects, supporting actress are probably like the most locked up.
Mm-hmm.
Next would be animated film for Encanto, which is also pretty locked up overall. I do want to mention the Annie Awards were also this past week, and Encanto did not win their main awards. I believe Mitchell's won the most awards, but I
Maybe
mean,
the Toy Story 4.
yeah,
They tend to like 2D animation and like risky animation.
the Annies don't like Disney that much either. I mean, if you've
Yeah.
seen the past few years, especially probably this year because Disney is under a lot of fire within the past few weeks, rightfully so. I think they do tend to lean towards the non-Disney flicks, like with I think Klaus like swept everything that year at the
Yeah.
Annie. So
Oh, here
I'm
it is.
happy for Mitchell's, but
At the Critics' Choice Awards, Jane Campion. It's interesting she went to Critics. Oh, I guess because DGA
starts
was
the
in
same
Hollywood.
time.
Yeah, okay.
Oh wait, yeah.
Like DGA was in Hollywood, so she just stayed for Critics' Choice instead of going to BAFTA.
Yeah.
Jane Campion said, accepting her Critics' Choice Award for Best Director, saying, Venus and Serena, you're marvels, but you don't have to compete against the men like I do. This Best Director lineup, I think, has been one of the better ones in years. So,
Yeah, it has been.
But good for her.
The only big miss would be Denis. Such a tragedy.
He'll
Who
be
also
back.
gave a good speech at the DGA yesterday. I saw him mentioning like Spielberg and stuff, and very emotional speech. He'll be back.
He'll be back with Florence Pugh.
Yeah, Florence Pugh in part 2.
Yeah. Also, your lookalike.
He's
at least
also
I think so, with Austin
Florence
Butler.
Pugh. Oh, Austin
No,
Butler.
Austin
Okay.
Butler.
I was gonna say I don't know how much of Florence Pugh. Yeah, he's also in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe contending for an Oscar next year for Elvis. We'll have to see.
Yeah, possibly. Do we want to mention just first time feature with DGA while we're talking about director?
Oh yeah, well we're talking about DJ Maggie Gyllenhaal as we predicted. What first time feature? Happy for her.
which we will get into adapted
Adapted
screenplay, which is by far the most interesting category now.
That and editing, I think, are probably the
Yeah.
two biggest
Well,
ones.
editing, I feel like has no front runner, where adapted screenplay has three.
It does. Yeah, there's two in adapted screenplay that are just like probably not going to win. But we'll get to that in 1 second. Also, I just wanted to mention, funnily enough, I just realized that Florence Pugh is going to be in Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer and in Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2. So she's going to be in two big director.
Following in her Black Widow footsteps of being in multiple Best Picture winners or nominees.
She'll get double nominated. No, I don't think she'll get nominated for either. Okay, maybe, who knows? Production design, speaking of which went to Dune. I was really thinking Nightmare Alley could win this come the Oscars. I'm not completely sure now, but I mean, I feel like they really want to spread the love, and that would be where Nightmare Alley is most likely to win. But I mean, Dune is just as worthy of the win.
What has gave me pause about cinematography and production design is how much, when people are voting, do they think it's the visual effects? Mm-hmm. Because when we have other tech, behemoths just sweep through these tech categories, a lot of the times they're like, Mad Max Fury Road actually went out into this desert and stuff like that. I feel like they're maybe not as reliant on the visual effects. Of course, there's a lot of invisible visual effects. But because Dune is in space, I do wonder if that affected it. And I agree, Nightmare Alley was maybe this is a way to throw that movie a bone. But I do think that I think like what happened with 1917, where even though the visual effect was editing and it should have just been it should have just won editing, I think that they're just going with it and they're just riding the bandwagon. And I think Dune will probably take production design as it's beautiful production design. I mean, how they create the world. I mean,
I do think there's something to be said for creating like your own individual unique world versus like with Nightmare Alley, you are recreating stuff. I mean, from also an older movie, it's stuff that is probably easier to come up with overall rather than
also he found a lot of those like location, like a lot of that is just location scouting. Like they didn't build a lot, like the majority of those sets. They may have decorated them, but a lot of those places already existed compared to Dune, which you're creating a world. And I do think, again, Dune, we talked about this when we were predicting the nominations and whether Dune would get it for adapted screenplay. Dune is so well known as a book that to fully realize that, and for really, I don't think I've seen many people critique how the film has adapted the world as written in the book. I think that does go, there's a lot of respect and that goes a long way. And I again, wins here, like at BAFTA, I do think do lean in
BAFTA
the direction that's going to repeat.
BAFTA also is very good at predicting winners. Not so much nominations a lot of the time, but winners, they're usually pretty good. So I would probably lean towards Dune there. Speaking of which, documentary, I feel like this is the one place where Flea had a chance to maybe take one documentary award, but was not meant to be. Summer of Soul won documentary, which I guess we should have seen. I think we also predicted that last week because it also got the editing nomination. So there was clear love for it.
Movie. It's a moving, I don't know if you see it yet.
I have, I really liked it.
Yeah, it's just, it's so rousing. And also, it has the gravitas that I think you need. It's not just like a fun time. It's really just, it's a really well edited documentary. And I think as much as I love Flea is very depressing.
It is.
And it's very challenging in its form. And that's why I'm very happy it got its 3 nominations.
It is relevant currently, though.
So we'll see. I think this is Summer of Soul, and I've continued to think that. And I think Flea, unfortunately, is just going to have to make peace with its record-breaking nominations, and I think Zero wins at the Oscars.
Yeah, Summer of Soul's biggest hurdle was the nomination, I think. So, also worthy of quick mention, another DGA thing, Summer of Soul did not win for Best Documentary Director. I believe it was Attica that won there. So. Interesting, but I don't think that affects the overall race very much.
What is Attica about? Do you know?
I don't know. I have not seen it.
The only thing I could think of is everybody thought in 2018 that Faces Places was going to win the Anya Sparta film, and then Icarus came out of nowhere and surprised. And I think the reason why is because it was loosely tied to the subject matter to like the Russians with the Olympics, and so
Yeah, I'm
many people
not
thought
sure.
it was very timely. So like if any of these movies are maybe timely, like let's say they're talking about Russia or the world or war,
Yeah.
I maybe that happens.
I also think directors can be a little snobby in terms of who they want to give an award to, as we've seen with actors turned directors. So they might have not had that little bit of bias towards Questlove as well, since this is his first
Atticus
foray.
about the prison reform, so I don't think we have to
Mm,
worry. Um,
no.
yeah, I'm trying to think.
Okay.
There's no movie that really is. I mean, I saw somebody make the claim that because of what's happening in Ukraine, and of course, it's a terrible thing.
Belfast.
The Belfast
Yeah.
argument.
Kind
Um,
of. I don't think voters are going to think that hard about it.
yeah, like I didn't even. I was like when the person
It's
introduced
not a
the
clear connection.
topic, I was like, where are we going with this? Are we
Yeah.
going with Dune? And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
Belfast. I guess. I mean, I don't think the movie has enough substance to be compared in that
No.
way. I think you would have to know what the troubles are outside of the movie to tie it to what's happening. I don't think the movie that spends so much time on sitting next to the cute girl in class, I don't think is going to win Best Picture because of its parallels to Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Agreed.
I think, yeah.
Um, Speaking of Belfast, next up it's original screenplay, where Licorice Pizza won. I mean, the BAFTAs did really like Licorice Pizza. They did nominate it much more so than the Oscars did. But I mean, this is Belfast's home turf here. I think I'm still leaning a little bit towards Belfast at the Oscars because I do think the same people that would vote for Licorice Pizza may also be voting for Worst Person in the World. Whereas I think that more crowd pleasing crowd of voters really have only Belfast to vote for. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think that this spoke well. See, it's interesting because yeah, the BAFTAs were more uh, praiseworthy towards Licorice Pizza, but Belfast,
Mhm.
won Outstanding British Film, and
It
it would
did, yeah.
definitely, it had the home turf advantage. So I don't think we should just dismiss it as Licorice Pizza was more well liked, and therefore the same won't repeat at the Oscars.
No,
I think Paul Thomas Anderson is a more respected filmmaker than Kenneth Branagh, but at the same time, I do think Belfast, the reason why it doesn't have controversy is why people like it. It's very safe. And I think,
mhm.
you know, that's why also like we'll get into adapted screenplay, I'm sure, right after this. The fact that we might have two feel-good screenplays are very interesting to me,
Yeah,
because a lot of people are jumping onto the
yeah.
Coda bandwagon for that. Um, I'm tough. I'm checking up the BAFTAs to see what they did in 2018, if they chose Get Out or they went with Three Billboards, because I think that might be a nice, like
That's
Three
true.
Billboards was the expected traditional pick, and Get Out was the more like hot take pick, and then Get Out
Hmm.
won. So let me see what that was. As maybe you can. Are
Yeah,
you still sticking with Belfast?
I'm still sticking with Belfast. I mean, I feel like it's going to win something. I feel like when you look at the nominations and how it performed overall, I think it did much better with the Academy than Licorice Pizza did, which only got like 3 nominations. So I do think they're going to want to award it somewhere, and I think and Kenneth Branagh in general. I think there's a lot of love for him this award season. He's doing all the campaigning, so I do think Belfast is going to take it.
So Get Out wasn't nominated. Oh wait,
I
no,
mean
I meant
that made
adapted screenplay. I meant original.
I wouldn't be surprised if Get Out wasn't nominated though. I mean it's the BAFTAs.
I was completely shocked. I was like, wait a second. It wasn't
Yeah,
even nominated.
Three
Paddington 2 was
Billboards.
nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay, though, that year. So,
Yeah, very British, very British.
very British. All right, let's see. Best Original Screenplay. I'm in the right category now. Three Billboards did win.
Yeah, that
So,
makes sense. I
yeah,
don't know
so
how
I
much of
guess,
a comparison that is, to be honest, though, because I mean the BAFTAs do have a bit of a race issue. I don't know how much of a factor that was there, but also I think Get Out is a much, I mean, better screenplay than Licorice Pizza is.
they're like half and half. Like, they gave it to Promising Young Woman, which crossed over, Parasite, which crossed over. The Favorite did
Mhm.
not.
No.
Three Billboards did not. Both race movies, though.
Yeah.
So maybe that affects it. And neither one of these are generally race related, except the minor
No.
controversy regarding Licorice Pizza with the Asian
Which I
storyline.
think also doesn't help, but I mean I don't think that's also a big deal.
The other thing too is like Licorice Pizza, I think, is a comedy. Like it's, and
It
I
is.
wonder if people watching Licorice Pizza are thinking like if if there's a bias towards that. And of course, I believe I'm going to look this up too. A lot of stats that we're checking now.
Yeah.
I believe Kenneth Branagh has had more nominations, right?
I would imagine
Yes,
at the
no, maybe
BAFTAs.
so.
I believe this was one of Paul
Well, no,
Thomas
not at the
Anderson's.
Oscars. So, yeah.
Oh, at the Oscars. Yeah, he's had 7, I believe. Oh wait, no, Paul
Let's
Thomas Anderson has had more, I think. Maybe.
has had more.
But
I'm checking. All
Kenneth
right,
Branagh
so
has
this
been
is
nominated
Paul.
in 7 categories though. So maybe
Yeah,
he's
so
had
Kenneth
more.
Branagh, he has now 8 nominations with his Belfast noms, and
Okay.
Paul Thomas
PTA
Anderson
has
has
9.
11.
Oh, he has 11. Wow.
So I might go Licorice Pizza. Like I don't know. Like it's
It's
weird because
tricky.
like I don't.
I don't think that he has much of an
Belfast is the
overdue
more
narrative.
nominated film, right?
Much
This is
more, yeah.
tough.
I would lean Belfast.
Yeah, but I said this I think before. The thing that got nominations is Paul Thomas Anderson. His contributions to Licorice
Yeah.
Pizza are what got it nominated: the Best Picture, the Best Director, and the Best Screenplay. And yeah, I am completely lost because I really I don't. It is a 2-horse race, and I think the fact that the British Academy Awards did not go with Belfast for this category, I think we'll have to revisit this later in a different
Yeah.
episode. I can't
I
not. I
still I
cannot make
still
it
go
call.
Belfast. I do think that the type of voter who is going to vote for PTA may also be very interested in voting for worst person in the world, which is also very liked, and also kind of a comedy in
Do
some ways.
you think who do you think is going to get more Best Director votes, Branagh or PTA?
Probably Brana.
Because what if like there's just people are not thinking of PTA and director, and maybe some people take care of Branagh and director, and then PTA is just there's more support for him individually within screenplay. Like that's the
I
other
don't
thing.
know.
I see Branagh as maybe coming up short in both, where I think if you're going to support PTA, I don't think you're thinking about supporting him in director. I think you're only thinking about him in screenplay. Where
I
Branagh,
don't think if you want to support someone, I honestly don't think anyone currently voting would think they're going to throw their support towards director because it's kind of like a lost vote. I mean, I don't think even if you throw your support towards Brana and director, I think you will if you're paying attention, you would know it's Campion's still going to win there.
but I would still say that Branagh's the runner-up in
In
director.
director,
Right?
I would say Spielberg probably, honestly.
Maybe. I don't know. I think the Spielberg thing reminds me of the
Yeah.
Hanks thing, where like you really have to show it up to win. And I feel like Spielberg has just been so lauded at this point that I feel like he's kind of just like, you're in the group. We
Mhm.
love you, Steven, but I think again, there's probably more. I know people in film Twitter has turned on Belfast, and I'm not the biggest fan of the movie, but I still think that
It's very associated with him.
it's very associated with him, and I think it's not as clear. I don't know. Would you agree that maybe Branagh? It's clearer that if you want to support PTA, you're going to screenplay. Where I think with Branagh, again, even if Campion is winning, it's not as clear. Like there are people who support him in both categories.
I guess I just don't know if people are thinking that hard either. I do think
I mean, that's
I think
always
we're overthinking that. We always overthink it, but I do think if you're voting, if you like Belfast, I think you're voting for it in screen. I don't know. I feel like more people like Belfast when you look at the nominations than like Licorice Pizza. So I do think that's probably.
I mean, this is completely frivolous because people maybe aren't even voting for Belfast. I mean, like I haven't heard anything about any movie except Power of the Dog, Coda, and West Side Story, but only because I'm on film Twitter. Like every other movie, like it's shocking to me that in a race of 10, we've somehow gotten the race down to 2. Like this is crazy to me.
I mean, it's usually down to 2 most years. 2 or 3.
Yeah, but it's 2 when like we have 8, and I feel like with 10, like I don't know. I feel like was it ever down to like 2 back when they used to do 10, like in the late 2000s? Like I always thought it was more competitive.
I think it was down to Social Network and King's Speech that year when they did 10. I guess there was a third there.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think there's usually 2 for
also the fact that Belfast was so the front runner and now it's just disappeared, and now with this Licorice Pizza win, it's like, well, like it's got to get something, right? It has like
Does
what,
it?
7 nominations, six
Oh,
nominations? I
Belfast
think
does.
six.
Yes. Belfast,
That's
I
my thing.
don't know
Like
how many.
Belfast has 6 nominations. It has double what Licorice Pizza has. But
Hmm.
I do think Paul Thomas Anderson is a more respected filmmaker. I'm completely lost in this
Yeah,
category. I'm gonna have to
agreed.
think about this. Maybe there's
Speaking
another
of,
precursor.
yeah, speaking of lost categories, adapted screenplay, which I'm even more lost in than original screenplay. Coda won here at the BAFTAs, um, which is crazy. I didn't see that. That surprised me so much. I didn't see that coming at all. When you think about awarding Coda somewhere, I mean, I like the movie, but I just screenplay and the writing of all places is, I mean, it's I think a very formulaic movie. I mean, it's based off another movie, but I think it's still a relatively formulaic movie. So the writing is not where I would think it would get that support. I mean, like when you look at The Father upsetting Nomadland, that's like a much more script focused movie upsetting Nomadland, which is less script focused, much more improv. I would think honestly, like Drive My Car or Lost Daughter had a better shot here because I think they're more script focused. But Coda won. What do you think of this?
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get like unless people just really love Coda and they want to award Sean Heater, and because she's not in director, this is where they do it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
I don't
understand.
know.
Like that movie is not, that movie being as good as it is because of the performances.
Hmm.
I don't
Mostly the
like, I get it.
performances.
I get the script, but like I don't know. Like, is there a line that people remember from Coda? I remember this, and I
Yeah.
remember her singing the song, but they didn't write the song, so it's like
Mm-mm.
I don't know. Like, especially up against those other screenplays. I'm looking up. Was Lost Daughter nominated in this category?
It was, yes. I believe so.
That's surprising. Yeah, I don't know. Let me look up what it has won in this category recently. Let's see if this. The Father won,
Yeah.
Jojo Rabbit
Last
won,
year.
Black Klansman won, Call Me by Your Name won. So we got to go back to Lion, um, which Moonlight wasn't even here. So maybe that was because they didn't consider it an adapted screenplay. Let me look.
At the BAFTAs?
Yeah, because it was based on a play, I think, or maybe based on it was one of those weird years. Yeah, Moonlight
Oh.
was an original.
Uh,
So then that year's a innocuous. Big Short won. So we got to go back to Theory of Everything beating The Imitation Game. So almost like 8 years
yeah.
ago for this category not to line up. So yeah,
That's tricky. I mean, but like you have to go back far for Best Actress not to line up too. And no matter what, it's not going to line up this year.
yeah, but that's when like it's in when the winner is in the category. Like I think
Yeah.
there's it
Yeah.
was different this year because Jessica Chastain isn't in Best Actress,
Mhm.
where Power of the Dog and Lost Daughter are in this category at BAFTA.
They
I'm
are. Yeah.
shocked because I was ready to be like, well, DGA, first feature winner Maggie Gyllenhaal, Spirit Award winner Maggie Gyllenhaal. I think there's a lot of love for that movie. This is where it shows up, and I think the Jessie Buckley nom shows a real love for the movie
Hmm.
because she didn't show up anywhere else. Unless did she show up at
She was
BAFTA?
at BAFTAs. Yeah, she
All
was at
right,
BAFTAs.
so
She may have been a jury pick, but she was at BAFTAs.
and it should be noted, Power of the Dog did win the Critics' Choice adapted
It
screenplay.
did. Yeah. And Belfast won original.
I'm like, of course.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah, this is
the
really.
screenplays are tricky.
Oh my God. I mean,
Would you?
do you think Coda? I mean, can Coda win
I
all
don't
three of
know.
its awards?
It's not going to win picture. So I think it would at most win two. But what I would honestly lean, would you think Drive My Car or Lost Daughter has a better shot? I would say, I mean, Lost Daughter's not in picture, so I feel like
I don't
Drive My
think
Car.
anybody is thinking about Drive My Car, so I don't. That's
Really?
fourth for me now.
I don't
Um,
know.
it hasn't won a single screenwriting category.
It
So like,
hasn't, but I don't know. I mean, Lost Daughter's not in picture. I don't know how far back you have to go for a movie that's not in picture to upset in like a screenplay category.
you're right. So then maybe it is down to Coda versus Power of the Dog, and then maybe maybe if people just feel like they don't want to give Campion 3 Oscars,
It's very similar to Zhao last year.
I guess. I mean, th- So, do you think this is a consolation prize? Like, we're not giving Coda Best Picture, so we'll give Sean Heater this?
I don't know. Once again, I don't know if they think that way. I mean, I feel like the Coda love is very much towards Troy Kotzer, so I just still don't. I
Well,
can't
that's
comprehend
just
it.
because the places that we've seen it, like, there haven't been screenplay awards. Like, think about it. Like,
Yeah,
Coda,
SAG.
Coda didn't pop at Golden Globes. It's the thing that's made it people think it's the runner up or maybe the front runner for Best Picture was SAG.
Hmm.
They don't give a screenplay award, so I don't know. Maybe
Power of the Dog did lose USC too, but that was to Lost Daughter, and it wasn't nominated at WGA because it wasn't eligible.
yeah, but I think you're right. I think the winning without a Best Picture nom would be
It's hard.
pretty crazy. But again, she's a well-known figure. Like this isn't like a Sean Heater. Like she is
Hmm.
Maggie Gyllenhaal, so maybe that does go a long way. But I don't think her name is on the ballot too, so maybe that hurts her.
Everyone knows, but I don't know.
I'm just
If I have to lock it in right, oh God, if I have to lock it in right now, do I go Coda? I would. I'd go Power of the Dog probably. I don't know. I don't know.
what
What
has
do you
been
do?
winning in this category? Let me
Like
check.
this specific category?
Best original screenplay. Last year it was Promising Young Woman,
It's
right?
adapt. This is adapted
Oh,
though.
this is adapted. Oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm all over the place.
Last year was
Adapted
The Father.
screenplay, The Father, and then Jojo Rabbit, and then um,
Previous
2018
year.
was Black Klansman.
Uh,
2017 was Call Me by Your Name. So they go back and
yeah.
forth in terms of like depressing movies and more feel good movies. I feel
Yeah, it all
probably
depends on the competition.
more a bent. Like I feel like they're more accustomed to go Power of the Dog. So maybe I'll stick that because I also think a lot of people who are predicting Coda for this award are the people who want to see Coda win. And
Yeah, I mean,
I think
everyone does get to vote on who wins here, though. This is not just writers. I think if it was just writers voting who's going to win, Coda would not win. But
I mean every
this is a
branch loved Power of the Dog. It's nominated in
that's
almost every
true.
category.
That's true.
And I don't
Yeah,
think
I don't
you
know.
would appreciate the craft if the script wasn't good. I don't know. I think it would be a record breaking night for Jane Campion. And I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't see Sean Heater working it. Like I see Marley Matlin everywhere, but I don't see Sean Heater. And yeah, I would be like, even with like Green Book, I mean, this could be a Green Book situation. It could win supporting actor, screenplay, and picture. And it could just pull that off.
yeah, yeah. I guess. I don't know. I just don't see that personally.
Yeah. You're seeing a very tired person try to finagle
Yeah,
his mind into these
yeah.
things because I
Me too.
genuinely didn't think that these screenplay categories would be as confusing as they are. I mean, literally the fact that BAFTA and Critics' Choice picked polar opposite picks,
Hmm.
of course they did.
Yeah, that's just our
Makes it
luck.
interesting.
I feel like sometimes it's best to just go with what your gut originally says. So I am definitely sticking with Belfast. I mean, I guess that means I should stick with Power of the Dog here. I would say either Power of the Dog or Drive My Car.
My
I don't know.
gut is Power of the Dog. But I don't know because I feel like this reeks of what happened when in 2019, 2020, when I was like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and then Parasite came out of nowhere, and I ended up picking Parasite because that just felt where the energy was at that moment. And maybe Once Upon a Time in Hollywood peaked in this category, and it felt like a foregone conclusion. That tends to
Yeah.
happen a lot now, like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Nomadland, and then the exciting choice comes out of nowhere.
Hmm.
I have no.
Which could
I
be
have
Drive My Car.
my gut is in half, and half of it is in Power of the Dog, and half of it is in Coda. I can make arguments for both,
Yeah. I
and I
mean, we'll
cannot.
have our final predictions. We have plenty of time left to do that.
I
Right
know.
now, I'll just say Drive My Car for right now. Why not?
I'm gonna say Dune. I'm gonna go
Dune.
with Dune and adapted screenplay.
I would very much enjoy that. Give Dune another Oscar,
Uh,
as if it's not getting enough. Outstanding British film, as we mentioned, Belfast. I
That's
think
correct.
what's expected doesn't change much about the races because that's not a category. Um, Supporting actor, Troy Kotzer, Coda,
Done.
locked it up. Locked it up. I know I said Troy Kotzer last week. I know some people thought Cody was still possible, but this was very much Troy Kotsur's locking it up finally.
So do you think now with DeBose winning, of course, here as well,
Yeah, that's also locked
we're
up.
done?
That's always been locked up, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, I needed to see that the industry really did that. You know, it wasn't just people who loved the movie that
Yeah,
the industry was really going to respond to this newcomer, because I think it is very hard for a newcomer to just pop on the scene. And also, I was always waiting for like she was good, but she wasn't Rita Moreno. I was waiting to see if that was
I
going to
thought she was
happen.
better, so I don't think that happened.
Yeah, well, we think she's better because we didn't
Yeah,
live 60 plus years with the
that's true.
original. For the people who love the original, I was waiting to see if that was going to happen. That people were going to be like Patti LuPone, for example, the famed Broadway actress, has not seen the movie because West Side Story is her favorite movie of all time. I was waiting to see if there was a large enough contingent of people like her who were just thinking the original is untouchable and they weren't going to entertain Ariana DeBose.
I think there are people with that attitude. I think that hurts the movie outside of the acting. I think if
Yeah,
you see the movie and you see her performance, I feel like the fact that there was another person giving that performance doesn't alter it that much versus like screenplay which it missed in like, oh, we this movie was already written, or like directing, like I don't think he's going to win because it's already work that's been done.
yeah.
But I do
That
think
was just
DeBose gave a new spin on.
that was why I was always just a little hesitant. I was also hesitant on Will Smith, and I was hesitant on Troy Kotzer. Not as long though, because Troy felt very much the Paul Raci route. But I think again we talked about how Troy. I think he had a more emotional arc, and
Yeah,
he was more moved.
he had weaker competition. Like Cody's the kind of performance where it's like I'm not sure if that's going to win. Versus Will Smith had like Benedict Cumberbatch, Andrew Garfield. I feel like those are stronger people.
Yeah, and then I think what happened with Will Smith is it was a 3-horse race until Tick Tick Boom lost out on Best Picture, and then we were like it's a 2-horse race.
Yeah,
But then I do think that when you put those two up against each other, Benedict Cumberbatch's isn't as again, it's not as showy a performance, and
yeah.
I also think that Power of the Dog is going to win a lot more. So like this was the only chance to give King
I
Richard.
think Power of the
And
Dog's love is very much going towards Campion.
yeah. So I think that's what ended up happening. So again, with Dunst versus DeBose, I was just seeing like, okay, is DeBose going to hit a roadblock at any point? And she hasn't, and I think she won't. And I do think that the 4 that we think it is, Smith, Chastain, DeBose, and Kotzer are the 4 it's going to be.
It's pretty locked up, I think. Pretty locked up. Speaking of locked up, film not in the English language went to Drive My Car. Locked up.
Biggest lock with Campion.
Yeah, and Dune and visual effects.
Yeah.
I think it's also pretty locked up. I don't know what else could win there.
Oh, yeah.
Costume design, Cruella. Thankfully, that's looking locked up as it should be. I don't think anyone's going to upset at this point.
Yay! Makeup and hair.
Yes, makeup and hair. I do think it's going to Eyes of Tammy Faye. Like, I forget when I said it, but I've been mentioning the actress makeup lineup.
Well, the fact that Jessica Chastain wasn't even nominated here, let alone winning, and the makeup at BAFTA won anyway, I think it will only improve the chances for makeup when Jessica Chastain is nominated and will probably win the Oscar. Like it'll go hand in hand.
Agreed. What else do we have here? Rising Star Award went to Lashana Lynch. They almost always go with the British person, so good for her.
Yay!
Happy for her.
It's great.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Those nominations confuse me. I wouldn't consider her personally a rising star, considering she was in Captain Marvel in 2019.
She was in a $1 billion movie.
Yeah. But to each their own. This made me happy. Outstanding debut by a British writer, director, or producer, The Harder They Fall for James Samuel. I really liked that movie, and it got very few nominations across this award season, so I'm happy he won something.
Yeah, that reeks of a Netflix had priorities that wasn't
that. Yeah,
I think that was 4th. I think it was, or 5th. It went Power of the Dog. What was for what? Probably 6th, because it was Power of the Dog, Don't Look Up, Tick Tick Boom, The Lost Daughter, Passing, and then The Harder They Fall.
Oh, in terms of priorities. Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's what ended up happening with that one.
Yeah. Happy got something. Casting, which is a newer category. This is the 3rd time, I believe. West Side Story. I think that's very deserved. I think
-1.
Best casting. Yeah, -1. You know, you can't predict the future, but And also, I don't
Not
know.
even.
He's a good
Come
choice in
on, you
general.
can predict the
He wasn't a
audition.
good Tony in general. Yeah.
I mean,
I
he
mean,
was fine. He was fine, but he's not. He's not a
he was
grown-up.
like if you went to see Tony like at a high school West Side Story
Hey,
play.
the Tony who was in my high school production
Was he
was much
better?
better than
Yep.
Ansel
Okay.
Elgort.
At a high school production in like Texas. Original score went to Dune. Pretty locked up as well.
This is locked.
Yep. Most of these texts are locked up. Sound went to Dune. Interesting
Locked.
choice here. Editing went to No Time to Die. Guess they want to award it somewhere, but I still feel that's one of the more confusing categories. But I would still lean Dune because of the sound correlation.
Yeah, I think, you look at something like, I feel like Power of the Dog winning would be a very Parasite type of editing, which is, well, it's magnificent editing.
Parasite's much more noticeable editing though than Power of the Dog. Power of the Dog is not.
But Parasite didn't win. That's what I'm saying. Like,
No, it didn't. Yeah.
it's the more like tonier editing, the one that's like you can study the editing, but
Yeah.
Dune is the more noticeable in terms of its scale, and I think it's deserving. It's 2.5 hours, and it's this epic movie. And also like there are softer moments too, like when Timothy Chalamet is finding, I think, the ring of his father as his father is spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1, dying. I think there's the editing is good there,
It's
and
well
I
edited.
like
Yeah.
your correlation with sound. So I am particularly
Lines up pretty often. Pretty often. Speaking of Dune, visual effects, Dune 1. And also cinematography, Dune 1, which I do think is less of a lock for Dune. I would lean towards Dune now, but I feel like Power of the Dog that's a strong narrative too, having the first Ari Wagner, the first woman, win cinematography. I feel like that's all. Greg Fraser also has the Batman buzz right now, so they're equally strong narratives.
It's what narrative is going to get them up there.
Maybe.
That would be a narrative. Like if they could say, like, after the fatal shooting on the Rust set, this is the Academy coming together to honor female.
I feel like that would kind of be in bad taste, though.
So was Green Book. The Academy doesn't always.
Yeah.
I mean, let's freaking present all 23 Oscar cheer moment. What is the Academy is not adverse to making decisions that represent, not good taste.
Yeah, but I don't think Netflix is gonna like make that a campaign thing. I feel like that's like
not about Netflix. It's whether that narrative starts among.
But Netflix has to start the narrative.
Pundits or stuff. There's
I don't think pundits are going to say that either.
I don't know. I've been seeing it because I didn't bring this up. I didn't know. I
haven't seen it.
Again, I saw somebody from I think it was Rotten Tomatoes who brought this up, and I was just like, interesting. I mean, I could see that happening, but again, if people are trying to predict the speech, I could see that happening because I think some people do vote thinking who's going to give the best speech. I don't know. I don't think, and also Netflix could do it. Netflix is they're not pristine. As we've seen with the Disney controversy this week, companies aren't always making the best.
No, that's true. True. I just don't think that would be a good look. I feel like they'd be safer to just not do that. But yeah.
So we'll see.
Yes. The Critics' Choice, I mean, I recorded a reaction to the Critics' Choice, but nothing really surprised me, so that will not be posted. So I guess we can run through it super quickly. Best Picture, Power of the Dog. Yep. Best Director, Jane Campion. Yep. I mean, you can stop me if anything strikes you, but I don't think much will.
Smith, Chastain, DeBose, Coxer.
There you go. Those are the acting. Jude Hill won Young Actor for Belfast. I'm happy
Good
for him.
Should have been Woody Norman, but good for him.
It should have been, yes. Acting Ensemble also went to Belfast. Original Screenplay went to Belfast. Adapted Screenplay, Jane Campion, Power of the Dog. Best Comedy, Licorice Pizza. Animated Feature, Mitchells vs. the Machines, which we mentioned along with the Annies. Foreign Language Film, Drive My Car. Cinematography, Ari Wagner, speaking of which, did win here for Power of the Dog.
Maybe in the back of people's minds. I'm just saying.
Maybe.
There's no reason why Nomadland loses to Mank, but then Power of the Dog wins against Dune. Like, that feels like very different cinematography wins there. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think the fact that she's, and I don't want to say that she wins because she's a woman, but I think people would make that argument. And I don't think, it's in the back of people's minds. I just
Yeah,
prepare yourself for that, because I also
it's
think the
definitely
next
possible.
day, that's how people will run with that story. And I also think
Hmm.
if she won, she would mention it too.
And
Again,
I also do think Power the Dog, if it's not winning adapted screenplay, is it really just, I can't remember the last movie that just won picture and director. I feel like it's been a while. Like, I don't think in the preferential ballot that's ever happened. So I feel like
oh,
it may have to win one tech at least, which I think out of those, the most likely would be
well, it could
cinematography.
win score. It could
That
surprise.
feels more locked up to me.
I agree. I'm just saying,
It
but
could potentially.
maybe I didn't see Johnny Greenwood come out against the Academy after the whole cut 8 categories in the same way I think Hans Zimmer did. So again,
Yeah,
maybe it rubs people the wrong way. I have no idea. We can talk about this. How the controversy around the snubbing of these 8 categories from the telecast is affecting voting, if it's at
I don't
all
think at
affecting
all.
voting.
I think pretty much everyone in the Academy would agree with people like Hans Zimmer, Denis Villeneuve, or Spielberg that they should
So
stay
maybe
in
that
this.
helps
That's an
then.
ABC order, not an Academy order.
It's true.
I
So
think
yeah, maybe then he benefits from his more outspoken things. But we shall see. We shall
we
see.
shall. And then production design, Dune, editing, West Side Story. Interesting. Interesting. Probably not going to affect the
Or
race much
what category?
for editing. Which I mean, it's not nominated at the Oscars, so it won't affect the race. Never mind.
I
So
mean,
yeah,
Power of the Dog could win ending.
I don't think so.
That could be its craft.
I don't think so.
I think so. What do you think is more locked, editing or cinematography for Dune?
Editing, probably.
Really? Okay. Because
Yeah.
I think
I mean,
editing
that
is all
sound
over the
correlation,
place.
I just trust it too much.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Song, No Time to Die. I feel like, I mean, there's been Encanto buzz, but I feel like that's pretty much locked up.
Well, okay. If the argument for Encanto is the we want to give Lynn the EGOT, then other organizations don't need to start that narrative. So
No,
he could still win, but at the same time, I mean, if the Spectre song could win, this song should be winning in a landslide.
it
So,
should be. It
and I
should be.
think people love Billie Eilish. She might be back the following year with her Turning
Oh,
Red
yeah.
song,
It's a
that
good
she did
song.
with Phineas O'Connell. So, yeah, I mean, I will be fine if either one of them wins, or
Hmm.
Diane Warren for
Agreed.
this case. I mean, just for the love of God, the poor
I don't know
woman.
about that.
I mean,
I mean,
the
look
poor
out for
woman.
Beyonce too. I mean, like we said, it's been rare for a best actor to only win best actor for their movie. So
Yeah.
potential.
I think we're going to break a lot of records this year. But anyway, so I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
I
I
agree.
love Billie Eilish, I love Lynn, and so whoever wins, I'll be happy. But I personally, I think No Time to Die is the better song.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And then visual effects, Dune, hair and makeup, Tammy Faye, costume design, Cruella. So yeah,
So
all
this is
expected there.
literally, I think there's some elusiveness to Best Picture and maybe some of the crafts, but I think this is really going to be
Most of it's locked up.
screenplays.
Yeah,
And other than that, it's going to be a very true, like, unless there's some major surprises, I think this is going to be a very, like 2018, it's going to be a very predictable ceremony.
and 2019, I feel like was very predictable.
Are you talking about the year 2019 or
Movies in 2019, 2020 ceremony.
yeah, that one too. But that
The
one ended with
acting, the
Parasite. That
acting.
ended with such a
Yeah,
ruckus, like swell of emotions. I don't
that
see
was a
that.
really
Even
good
if I mean,
ceremony.
if Power of the Dog wins, I'll be very happy. But I don't think that, like, no matter
Nothing's going to beat
what.
Parasite for a long time in terms of, I think, like most agreed upon and like
Oh
happiness
yeah.
inducing.
I mean, I was as thrilled when Frances won last year for actress, but I don't think, and Yoo Jun Yoon won. But as
Yeah,
far as a universal moment, Parasite winning was pretty special.
agreed. Um, we could touch on the Annies, but I think we touched on that when we talked about animated feature. Mitchell's did very well there. And
As is
Kanto also.
expected.
Yeah, because they do not like Disney that much.
I don't think Disney likes Disney very much right now.
Yeah, people within
Uh,
Disney don't like Disney that much. Yeah,
yeah,
that
so
is true.
we shall see. I in my Turning Red, I think it was my Turning Red review. I did a little blurb about the Disney stuff. I mean, I'm glad they've
Yeah,
changed their opinion on and their stance on this bill.
took them like a lot of public reaction to. It's
Yeah.
bad luck. Bad
Um,
luck.
It's a bad look. Of course, Disney owns ABC, which will be,
Yeah.
broadcasting the Oscars.
Can't wait till they're owned by someone else.
Who? The Oscars?
The Oscar ceremony.
I was like, Disney's not getting owned by anything else. What are you
No,
talking
yeah.
about?
I don't know, like Amazon, Apple.
Disney's
the
going to
only
own
people with a
everything
shot.
else. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. They own everything.
But yeah, listen, despite that, I think the Annie Awards were never going to go for Encanto. It's not that type of thing. But again, I find it very difficult that the entire Academy is voting. Everybody has heard Encanto. I mean, Lin-Manuel Miranda should be getting
It's
that
on
off.
in every kid's house. Yeah.
Because he is responsible for that movie winning Best Animated Feature more than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just think that's what's going to happen. This can be a look forward, and then we can wrap it up. I'm very interested. Do you think next year's Oscars, I'm assuming Turning Red will be able to compete, given it's Disney Plus release?
Yeah, we can do a little quick Turning Red review Oscar chances section here for a few minutes. I in the movie, I enjoyed it. I thought it was like middle tier Pixar. I didn't like love it. I thought the animation and the editing were really well done. I thought it's probably one of the most unique looking Pixar movies. I like how the emotions are like hyper and extra. Just like that one scene where she's like looking down at her book and then back up at her mom to make sure her mom doesn't see her looking at her book. I mean, very well done scenes. The third act I thought was a little odd. I mean, I liked it still overall, but I feel like parts of it went a little off the rails. The score was amazing by Ludwig. Yeah, I really like the movie. It's probably the Pixar movie that's made me laugh the most recently. Not all the recent Pixar movies have made me laugh. So I think this was a very cute, heartwarming movie. And I really enjoyed it. In terms of Oscars, I think it'll get nominated. I don't think it'll probably win.
Yeah, I love the movie. I think a little bit more than you did. I would put it in my top 10 for Pixar. It's
probably in the low teens for me, meaning like 13, 14.
Yeah. I did a whole Pixar ranked on mine. It's so surprising. It's amazing that when you do that, it's just the amount of people that come out and start spreading.
Oh my God. It's such a personal thing too, what Pixar you like.
But yes, I mean, check out the list on my YouTube channel. But yeah, I love the movie. I love the style. I love the messages. I love how unafraid of its subject material it is.
Yeah.
And I think it's distinct. The distinct vision of the movie is what I really respect about it. Now, here's the question. Turning Red or Across the Spider-Verse Part 1?
Across the Spider-Verse.
I think I agree. I mean,
it's also much later in the year too, so.
Let's see what Disney Animation has, like not Lightyear, like the Disney proper animation. I think they have a movie coming out.
When you look, they have that Strange Worlds movie in November. Which is also a sci-fi movie. I don't know how much of a chance that has. When you look at Disney's past March movies, like an Onward or this year Raya, they usually don't win.
It's true. Zootopia did, though.
It did, that's true.
Which was November.
That's true, yeah.
That's true. Well, and to be fair, Zootopia was, I think very intellectual, and so was Turning Red. But I don't know I think Zootopia presents itself as being more intellectual, where I think Turning Red, it's more of a subtle intellectualism. I think it's surprising, like you're not expecting it on the look of the movie. Western's audience is like own issues with anime.
Yeah, I think you do run into some issues with some of the voters and audience members. I think you see this even with some of the reviews where it's like, oh, this isn't for me. Like specifically, this is only for a specific type of person, so therefore I don't like it. And also, like you said, it is very blatant with like the female puberty aspects. It doesn't like hide it. I think that I've seen like some parent reviews where like, I didn't like that they showed this and stuff, and it's like, I do think it has some.
It's because I think the Academy is going to have to choose between the two things that I think it hates the most, which is this isn't for me content and superhero movies, superhero sequels.
Yeah.
So that's
true.
It's so funny.
Not many sequels win. That's true. Usually only Toy Story.
Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4 won, and Toy Story 3 kind of doesn't count because, of course, Toy Story 1 and 2 didn't win because the category
wasn't there
for those two movies. So really, Toy Story 4 it would be a Toy Story 4, which I think it's deserving of that
Yeah,
stature.
yeah. I mean, you've also got that Apollo 10.5 movie. You've got Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, but those also seem like they may be less Academy friendly.
Yeah, the
More
Guillermo del Toro one, maybe. Maybe.
yeah,
We're going to be
yeah,
overexposed to Pinocchio, I feel, this year.
yeah. That's true. And if Lightyear's really good, I mean, I feel like if Lightyear's equally as good as Turning Red, that's probably also pretty likely. Which would kind of be like another Toy Story movie winning
I
again,
know. Toy Story,
a
Toy
spin-off.
Story 4.5.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, Lightyear feels like and I don't mean this in quality wise, but Lightyear feels like Cars 3, that it's just like it's another sequel, and
like it's kind of made more for money than it is for like
yeah. I mean,
artistic.
I don't like to be callous like that, but I agree.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll see.
We shall see. We've got plenty of time to talk about the 2023
This was
Oscars,
so
which will be
chaotic,
fun.
I feel, and I think it's because we're both very tired, and I think
It
also
was, but it went well.
this whole season, because you know what it is. From here on out, I think it's very like traditional in terms of what we're
It is.
expecting the Oscars to be. But this was the moment that we broke that, and so like this is our last moments to be like, what's going on?
It very much solidified what we thought was solidified, like the acting stuff. But then the screenplay stuff is just like up in the air now. And I feel like most of the texts are locked. Picture and director are locked. So overall, I think it'll be a pretty predictable ceremony. So
We'll see, man.
let's hope
We'll see.
the
Let's see what these
hosts make it an entertaining one. Yeah,
yeah.
let's hope. We shall see. So yeah, comment your thoughts on the BAFTAs, the Critics' Choice, Turning Red, all that stuff down below, how it changed your predictions, and all that fun stuff. Check out Anthony's channel, Spoiler with Anthony Post, for his Pixar ranking.
Yes.
Hopefully, Incredibles or Finding Nemo was #1, but I'm not sure.
Finding Nemo was #1.
Okay,
Ooh.
good.
Yes,
that's good.
I love that movie. I think Finding Nemo and A Bug's Life are like the first movies that I ever loved. I think I could sing the A Bug's Life end credit song before I could talk.
That's impressive.
It's impressive. Yeah, but yeah, follow Spoilers Ahead with Anthony Post. I think I'm gonna do a If I Were the Oscars video. Which, by the way, when are we releasing our?
Soon. I'm on spring break now, so I finally have time to release it.
So we're gonna release
in the next few days.
The Oscars after the Oscars. We will be the final award show.
We're going to April like they did last year, which was
I remember saying, like, alluding to picks we made in January, and I'm like, it's March.
Yeah. We may have to redo some of them too, just because I feel like some movies. We'll talk about that often.
We'll talk. But
you'll see soon.
And follow me on Twitter at Anthony_Post and Letterboxd.
All that fun stuff. Yeah, I'm at OscarFilmFC on Twitter. I don't know my Letterboxd name. You can find out somehow. Yeah. So thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, comment down below, and see you next week.
Bye-bye.